everyone, I'm Cass and this is the Mind Your Being podcast, a space where we'll explore health and what it really means to care for our whole being, our physical, mental and emotional health. Each episode you'll hear from leading health and wellness experts or everyday people who share powerful insights and lived experience. And sometimes it'll be just me, sharing thoughts, tools and reflections from my own journey. More than anything, I want you to feel supported, encouraged and empowered to make informed health choices that feel right for you. If this sounds good to you, please enjoy. My guest today is Maree Steele. She's a clinical psychologist, ADHDer, mentor and mum of four, passionate about helping women, especially people pleasers, ADHDers and health professionals, to build confidence, embrace their uniqueness and do life and business their way. She's the founder of Uniquely You Psychology in Albion Park, New South Wales, Australia, and she'll soon be opening a monthly outreach clinic in Bermagui on the far south coast of New South Wales. Maree also runs in-person and online workshops and provides mentoring for women who are ready to ditch the rules, raise their standards and finally back themselves. I've known Maree for quite a few years now and she is so passionate about helping people and she's able to break things down in such a simplified method. She's able to explain things in simple, easy terms, but she's so good at helping people with confidence and helping people with strategies to really work through their issues or to really learn to back themselves. So without further ado, please enjoy this episode with Maree Steele. Welcome to Mind Your Being, Maree. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. To start off with, could you tell us how you came to be a psychologist and whether there are any particular motivating factors for you?
Yeah, so I think my original goal with being a psychologist was because I wanted to help people. And I didn't realize that later on it was like helping people help themselves. But when I was younger, when I was 5, I was diagnosed with ADHD. There was mental health in my family. And I just always have this narrative of like never kind of feeling like I was like good enough or able to achieve. And then I got really bad anxiety. And so I wanted to become a psychologist because I didn't want other people to feel or go through what I felt. And I wanted to help them work through it as well. So that was one of my biggest motivators, really.
That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. There's so many topics we could get into today, but we don't have time for all of them. So we're going to focus on some good ones. We're going to start off with talking about core beliefs and how they can shape our narrative and impact our behaviours. Many people don't realise how powerful their unconscious beliefs are. Can you explain to us what are core beliefs and how they are formed?
Our main goal as humans really is to be liked, loved, and accepted, right? Because we're mammals, and as mammals, as babies, like we rely on our caregivers for survival. So our conditioning when we're little is really heavily influenced by the people around us. And so most people develop core beliefs around either I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable or likable, or if I fail, then something really bad's going to happen. And so a lot of the time, what we are doing throughout our life is avoiding those things, which really is avoiding abandonment, avoiding being left on our own, because our primitive brain goes, we might die. Like logically, we know we're not going to, but equally though, we have this social conditioning around, I need my people around me so I can grow up and be happy and healthy, not realizing that as adults, we get to choose those people that we spend time with. And so those core beliefs are really things that we develop as we grow that we perceive to be true. And so if we have a core belief, I'm not good enough, unfortunately, we get the horse blinkers on and then we look for evidence that that's true. And, you know, it's what we look for, we will find, right? Have you ever like got a red car and then there's a million red cars? You're pregnant and there's a million pregnant people, right?
Confirmation bias.
Literally. So the core beliefs, it's really interesting because it's not, we believe that it's true, but equally it's information that's been fed to us by other people. So we've been taught that it's true. So a belief is just something that has been on repeat in our mind, and now we hold it as truth. And then it becomes the driver of which we live our life. I always say, as humans, we're running off two brains, right? We're running off our emotional brain, which is our fight or flight response, this conditioned response of how do I be enough for people? And then our rational, logical brain that tries really hard to get us to do all the things that we want to do, but is constantly fighting against this internal narrative or that core belief. And I
And
don't think we know that, right?
no, and I think we feel most at peace when they're congruent, when they are aligned.
Yeah.
But for most people, at some point in life, there's a dissonance. They're not aligned, and we feel uneasy. Or even if you rationally know something, it can feel totally different. Like you can know something rationally, but yeah, they're very strong.
100%.
Naturally, our brains are wired toward negative bias. So we tend to focus more on the negative thoughts and experiences rather than the positive ones. You mentioned some examples of negative core beliefs that you commonly see in practice there. What are some of the ways they can influence our behavior and decision making? I guess, especially when it comes to relationships and self worth as well.
To me, I often see two things. One is playing it safe or playing small. Right. So we either play it safe as in like what is familiar is safe. So safe doesn't mean it's good for me. Safe just means I know it and I know how to be in it. And so if we have a negative core belief around I'm not good enough, then we might stay in relationships that aren't healthy or don't serve us simply because we know it and we know how to be in it. And then we play it small. And I think, even looking at that lens of ADHD right now and me making a mistake, right? Like often we won't go on a podcast or we won't do something that we want to do for fear of making a mistake or stuffing it up. And so we
Yeah,
play small and we play in that safe zone of like everything's fine or my life's fine, when really what we want is to, like with you, be more, do more, have more.
yeah.
Right. And we get really caught up in those two things in terms of that negative bias. And that's how it impacts us because we don't do maybe all of the things that are on our heart to do.
And you may be not living the life as rich or true to yourself as you want to.
Yeah. We don't take the risks, right?
Yeah, that's very true. Sometimes when we're running on the negative beliefs or we're really believing them, or maybe we're not even conscious of them, but they're running our life kind of thing, can lead to things like perfectionism, living to other people's expectations, people pleasing, one of your faves.
Yeah.
Why do so many people struggle with people pleasing or feeling stuck in a life that they didn't consciously choose for themselves?
I mean, my thoughts are it goes back to that social conditioning when we're little again. Because to me, a lot of the time, people pleasing, it's a strategy that we've developed to have people like or love us.
Yeah,
Right. And we mistake nice as kind. Nice really is just about who do I need to be so that you won't leave me. Kind is I'm actually doing something because I'm consciously choosing that and it's part of my values or my morals. Right. So that people pleasing is really about that child having to learn how to get their basic needs met. Who do I need to be to get mum and dad's attention? Who do I need to be to have the teacher like me or that bully not pick on me or that person love me or something bad not happen to me?
yeah,
And we get stuck in that because then we become the adult and we have the conscious brain and the rational brain and the brain that knows better. But if we don't understand conditioning, conditioning, as you know, always will trump smart rational brain because it's part of our survival response.
yeah.
And that's a lot I think we don't know is that that conditioning forms part of that survival response. Like we're mammals just like lions, tigers, bears. Right? My brain wants to go, oh my, right? You know the song. We're designed for safety. We're not designed for happy. We're not designed for healthy relationships. We're not designed for creating podcasts and going viral. We're literally designed for how do I wake up today and
Yeah,
survive? And so if the little person knows I've woken up today and I've people pleased and I've survived, then that conditioning goes into adulthood. And even when the rational brain goes, no, I want to say no to that person, that fear response goes, yeah, but you might die.
yeah, like your inner voice might give you the negative message that goes along with that core belief,
Yeah.
and it becomes scary, right? To
Absolutely. So again, it's that whole thing of like, okay, we play it small, we play it safe, and we get stuck in this really conditioned comfort zone where we're not happy and we don't want to be, but really we're terrified to step out of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do you see a lot of people in clinic, and is this apparent straight away that this is what they're struggling with, or do people come to you straight away and go, "Hey, I just don't feel like I'm living a life that I want to be living"? How does it present?
Yeah, I think you just nailed it. It's like all of the above. So some people have already done some work and they're a little bit more self-aware because they've done a lot of the research. And some people, they just haven't got there yet. Like they're not aware that we have this internal dialogue or this conditioning going on. And so it might present as like, I'm just super anxious, or I'm the overthinker, or like you said it, like I'm the ruminator, or I'm just super depressed, or I'm so angry and resentful, without realizing that a lot of that stuff is being created through the way that we think and through our
Yeah.
core beliefs that have been developed. Right? We've got this internal prison that we're not aware of. Wasn't created by us, but now it traps us.
Yeah, and so hard. And awareness is the first piece, isn't it? Because you can't change
100%.
something if you're not aware of it.
Yeah.
When would you advise people to consider getting help for their negative core beliefs?
I'm a bit interested. I'm like now for
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah,
I think sometimes as the humans, we are so busy that it's not until something slaps us in the face and we like things are so far out of how we want them to be that we then actually seek help. And that's like our physical health too, right? Unless something's screaming at us, we don't necessarily work on it. Whereas I think our mindset is a bit like going to the gym. Like we needed the gym for our mind too. Like now talk to someone, learn about your conditioning, learn about the impact, try and avoid getting to the point of it being so severe that it can be debilitating and really hard.
and often I think it might not be until you're in relationship with someone else that can bring it up a lot. Which,
Absolutely, because we've got to look at I love the sentence of like whatever triggers us teaches us,
yeah, yeah,
right? Because
true.
we talk a lot about triggers and I think we need to be super mindful of them, and I'll put trauma to the side here because that's slightly different.
Yeah,
But in everyday life, if something triggers us, it's just information that we're coming up against something that doesn't align with our conditioning.
could
Can
be
learn
an indicator.
100%. And so if we can see it as that and then something to work on and learn from, then that can be so helpful. But often we need, like you said, the third party or somebody else to help us see what we can't see
Yeah,
so
that's
we
very
can work on
true.
it.
What do you find, and I guess it's different for different people, but what are some of the evidence-based techniques, maybe CBT or mindfulness, that you recommend to help people shift the negative core beliefs?
I'm very big on psychoeducation as a starting point, which links in with what you were saying about self-awareness. So if you're anxious, like understanding anxiety, like if you're insecure, understanding your like core beliefs and your patterns of thinking and how that's impacting you. If you're depressed, ADHD, and so forth. So psychoeducation for me is always the starting point. And then I generally like to break it into three things. So it's looking at your mindset, which might be like a cognitive behavioral therapy framework,
Hmm.
right? Understanding your thought patterns, how they're impacting you, where they come from, what you actually want to think instead, because we don't realize that first thought is conditioned, second thought is it's a choice once we get to choose it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And then working on, I think everybody's heard like deep breathing, mindfulness. And I know when I like say deep breathing, people sometimes like give me the eye roll and all of those types of things, right? But really, to me, deep breathing and mindfulness just means stopping and checking in with the body because often
yeah.
our mind and body are working separately.
Because we're not just a mind, we're a mind, a body, a soul. So we have to work on everything. And it helps calm your nervous system, which is going to help you have a clearer mind. So yeah, I get it.
And I think that's why I love your podcast too, because it's like mind your being. It's like all of you. Like it's so
Yeah,
inclusive for all of your
thank you.
health. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then habits. I think we need to look at our habits. But if we only look at habits, then we don't look at the thoughts that kind of trigger the habits, right? Or the emotions that trigger the habits. And likewise, if we're only looking at our mind or our body, then we're not actually looking at cool, but then what do we need to do instead?
Yeah, like even insight is great, but we still need to choose a different behavior or try some different behaviors to reinforce new habits to
Yeah.
help us feel better.
Yeah. So it's like the psychoeducation, the knowledge, and then the execution, the how to. Because
Yeah.
knowledge without executing is just useless, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll only get you so far.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah.
That's great. Thank you. I guess the final point on this kind of area is for someone who realizes they've been living their life to meet others' expectations, what's a good first step for them to begin reclaiming their own values?
I love that question. To me, the first thing would be actually just acknowledging how awesome it is that you've now recognized it,
It's massive.
right? Because sometimes we can overstep that part and go straight into how do I fix it versus just beautifully checking in and going, wow, like that's really awesome. And then I'm big on writing stuff out. So I love a good like piece of paper, folded in half. One side is what's my current way of thinking, or what's my current way of being, or how am I showing up currently that I'm not okay with? And then flip the script on the other side. What would I like it to look like?
Yeah.
So you actually start to get curious. And I love the word curious, get curious and play with what you want. Because the tricky part is if we go straight into, I've got to fix it, or I've got to get it right, or I've got to change it, we're actually in the old stuff.
As soon as we hear the word should, I
Yeah.
think it's other people's expectations. So I always say to people, "Oh, I just heard you say should." Well, that's not living to your own standard. That's who imposed that standard on you. I should work, 10 hours a day, or I should be this. It's not your own thoughts, really.
100%. Because I think you just said something else that tripped my brain too, is what we don't realize that come along with core beliefs is rules.
Yeah,
Like we have internal rules that we've created that we don't even realize, like you said beautifully, that aren't our own.
that's
And
so
so
true.
So when we're writing out our new values, it's like you said, it's like trying to step out of the shoulds or the have tos or I must or I can't and being like, well, wouldn't it be cool if, like, if I could just imagine I took those restraints and those rules away just for a moment, what would show up on that page?
Yeah, that's great. And just let yourself write them down. And if you
100%.
start to feel like, oh no, I can't do that, just write it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great exercise. Another thing that I see really plaguing all of us at some point in time, we seem to get stuck with overthinking and rumination. Can you explain what these actually are from a psychological perspective?
To me, I think overthinking and rumination are just strategies to manage a sense of like feeling out of control or uncertain or insecurity or lack of safety. Right?
Yeah,
It's like the child who's never had a safe environment externally needs to figure out how to create safety for self. And it does that through, okay, well, what if this happens? And then what if that happens? And then what if that happens? And it's almost like they're almost creating a contingency plan from A to Z to keep
everything
themselves
that could
safe.
happen.
Yeah, because ideally the child is meant to, in quotes there,
Yeah,
have a safe environment, that the environment is first safe and they can build trust within themselves. And as they grow, they create internal safety and trust, right? When
yeah,
we don't have that and that's not available to us, we grow up not trusting ourselves and having that self-doubt. And like you said, the people pleasing. And then that leads to, oh crap, I need a strategy to keep myself safe in this world. The thinking,
those.
ruminating, and
And it can really lead to anxiety and sometimes depression, like anxiety if you're worried about the future.
absolutely. The research has shown us that not every person who has depression gets anxiety, but the reverse isn't true. If you're an anxious person at some point in time, it's likely you'll become depressed because anxiety can be so debilitating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and exhausting.
Absolutely. I always say to people, like anxiety is like you've just run a marathon, and you know the end of the marathon where the people like their legs are going under them and they need someone to hold them up, and that's literally what anxiety feels like. End of that line, but 24/7. It's
Yeah.
exhausting.
Looking at strategies again, because with the podcast, I want to try and help people with some practical tools as well.
Yeah.
What would you recommend for people to try to interrupt their overthinking or rumination in the moment?
So I guess there's two things. Like there's like you said, there's one that's in the moment, and I guess
Mhm.
the other one is like long term, kind of being mindful of your own language and your habits. I guess if it's in the moment and you're caught up in the what if, I always talk about like connecting with self, which can be quite confronting. So it's almost like we want to remove, like step out of the mind almost and connect back in with the body. And so I'm very much about, hands on the heart, connecting with body, taking a breath. And I actually tell people to say, it's okay. And it can be confronting for people, but I'm not saying that it's okay, as in, like, doesn't matter what's going to happen. It's actually starting to build self-trust. So this might happen. That's okay. And then that might happen. That's okay. But what if this happened? That's okay. Because what you're starting to tell yourself is if that does happen, it's okay because I've got me to manage it.
And I will figure it out. I don't have to have all the answers right now.
Correct. Because the more we're stuck in rumination and what ifs and trying to find answers, the more we're telling ourselves that we're not safe with self. That
Trust in
we,
yourself. Yeah.
yeah. So by actually going pause, take a breath, it's okay. And then the mind will go again, but it's not, yeah, but what if this, okay, but stop. And I'm big on pause, like stop, pause,
Take
hands
the
on chest,
breath.
it's
Yeah.
okay. And literally just repeating that as many times as you can to try and center yourself.
I love that.
It's simple and yet it's really hard, right?
Yeah. But sometimes it is the most simple things or the basic things that will get the big results.
Yeah.
Because if you've got your basics right,
Because you also think too, like, you think about when babies cry, and this is what I brought it back to. Like when a baby cry or a kid falls over, the first thing we do is we pick them up, which is touch, which is why we put our hands on our chest, and then we pat them and we say, it's okay. You're okay. And you feel the baby in your arms just settle. Like you haven't solved the problem. You haven't got away their boo-boo, right? You've actually just acknowledged that they're now safe and that whatever happens from this point, they have a safe person. And it's almost like we're trying to bring that into ourself, like that internal child from that adult self, and do the
yeah,
same, almost the same strategy.
like self-soothe, even when you're an adult. Yeah.
Absolutely. We forget that that's so important.
All comes back to just the primitive way we've evolved. Like you said at the start, everyone has basic needs for survival and can sort of go astray if you don't feel that basic sense of security within yourself, I guess.
Absolutely.
Do you find midlife to be a common time when people begin questioning their patterns of living their life or their patterns of overthinking or people pleasing?
I do. I think we get to sort of middle age and there's a level of maturity, there's change in hormones, which also impact too, right? Like that has a big
Yeah.
impact in how we think and how we see the world. But we've also been through a lot and we start to reflect. Right? We're less in life and more reflecting on life, which allows for opportunity to go like, oh, actually, wow, what's been happening? Like, oh, I don't want that, or I actually wanted this, or like we actually start to have, it's almost like a first opportunity to check in with self, right? Like we're not taught in school or from parents necessarily to check in
No.
with self.
Yes.
And it's almost midlife is that forced point where we're like, shit, we're halfway. Oh, sorry, I stopped. We're halfway
Oh,
through,
good.
right? We're halfway through here. Like, what's going on?
I think you start to, I know for me, like it was kind of like early 40s. I just
Mm,
started to feel like, well, I don't know how much longer, like, you just don't know. And you don't sort of think about it as much before you get to a certain age because, like you said, you're just busy, you're in life, you're building life.
yeah,
But yeah, when you do start to reflect and you go, wow, why don't we learn all this and these tools to look after our mental health when we're younger?
absolutely.
Apart from your clinical psychology work, you're very passionate about running in-person and online mentoring, whether it be one-on-ones or workshops for women in particular. Could you explain to us what you're offering there and what you're really passionate about?
I think what my biggest passion is, like I've got two. It's kind of interesting, right? I've got this passion of like I really want people to do life their way. And it goes back to your conditioning. Like if we're doing it the way we've been conditioned, then we're not always choosing a life based on our terms and what we want. And so I'm very big on that. And in terms of like actually getting to choose our identity and who we are, not the identity that's been chosen for us by other people or labels or anything like that. And then from that space, though, I really love working with women in business too. And I'm neurodivergent, ADHD. So, particularly women who are like, I don't want to do it the normal way. Like, that's boring. Like, I want something outside the box and I want to be able to achieve things that I want to achieve. And I think, as you know, mom, business owner, like also getting that you get to juggle different roles. Because I think women in particular, and no disrespect to men, there's so many men that are, the primary caretaker, but we get so caught up in like, I'm the mum or I'm this, or I'm that, that we don't get to see that we get to, I don't know, have more.
Yeah,
Right. And so a lot of my workshops they're less about strategy because I think strategy without an identity of who you want to be is useless, right? Like we can have all the strategies in the world. How many times have we read a book and gone, I need to set a timer, I need to do this, and we don't do it. We don't have the identity that's aligned with our dream or our goal, whether it be just our mental health or in business, then we're very stuck. Yeah, I work a lot with that about women. Like you said, later in life, unpacking like, who am I? Who do I want to be? What does this look like for me? What do I get to choose here?
exactly. Like you said, the strategies and the tools are not going to give you a different feeling in your life if you don't actually decide, who do I want to be? Who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I when I'm not a mum? Who am I when I'm not a wife or an employee?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like,
love that. Is it ever too late for people to challenge their beliefs and start thinking differently?
I would say no. Like I have literally worked with like 2-year-olds and like 93-year-olds, right? Like as long as there's a willingness, it's absolutely never too late to change. Yeah, I think we can get caught up on this notion of like, oh, it not just even it's too late, it's like I'm too old or I've got too much going on or I'm too busy. Like we're really good at the excuses, but we don't see that the excuses again are part of that conditioning just trying to keep us safe or small. Like it all loops back, right?
Yeah.
And so
While you're
never
alive, you get to choose.
absolutely. Because you and I both know it's not about necessarily the outcome. It's not about being like, okay, at 93, I'm going to become a millionaire. You might be, you might not be, but guess what? At 93, you get to choose the path. I don't
Yeah.
know where that path will take you, but you get to choose it.
Yeah. And if you're not at ease or content, I think is what I mainly strive for, that inner contentment. If you don't have that, it's very painful and yeah, it's very hard on people.
Yeah, there's a lot more energy that goes in living a life that's not aligned than one that is.
Yeah, so true. How do you mind your being? Can you tell us maybe 3 ways or 3 things that you do?
So I actually have my own coach. I have my own person who I talk to personally and professionally, because I'm very big on my own personal development. Like I don't want to do and teach you what I'm actually not doing myself. So first one is just have a person, like whoever it is, mentor, coach, psychologist, therapist, counselor, Reiki person. I don't care. Find a person.
Yeah.
The second one for me is I need to be around people who not just get me and my neurodivergence, but like yourself, like actually get what I'm about in life and who want to grow and who want to expand and who want to share. Like that's a big thing for me because, there's this story around, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with,
Yes. Yeah.
right? So it's be mindful of your time and your energy. That would be the second thing. And the third thing really is like I need personally time on my own.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
important.
100%. And as again, simple as that sounds, it's making that time.
We all get busy and inundated with things, but for me, I don't know if it's the same for you. If I don't have even just a little bit of time to myself somewhere in the week or somewhere in a fortnight, I think I start to get overwhelmed or a bit
Mm,
anxious, bit antsy. How do you find
absolutely. And for me, I get overstimulated as well. Like I just feel like it sounds weird, but the world's vibrating around me
that?
and I need
Yeah,
to be away from it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing to talk about. It's okay to take some time for yourself, or it's okay to do whatever you know to be true for you to help you decompress, help you
Yeah.
reset and recharge.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's okay. I think there's just because I like to talk, there's two things in that sentence you just said too, though, is like sometimes when we go to do things that we want to do, that guilt shows up. So it's actually making that not wrong. But
So
then
many people I hear say that. Yeah.
100%. And then the other thing though is if you've spent so much time either in your head or in your emotion, that then being with yourself can like it can be super confronting.
There are so many people that do not like it. They're
So it's
like,
practice.
oh, that's boring, or I guess they're alone with their thoughts and their mind. And if they're not cultivating more positive thoughts, then I guess, yeah, that would be quite uncomfortable.
Yeah. So that's another part of the growth work is just learning to be with you.
If people are interested in finding more about you, what you stand for, and more about the offerings that you have with your workshops, where can people find you?
So I'm on Instagram and it's either at Sky Maree Steele, and that's a lot of my mentoring and business stuff, ADHD. And then also in terms of psychology, it's at Uniquely You Psychology on Instagram as well.
I'll link to those in the show notes as well. I want to thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you
And
so much for having me. I love chatting. I had fun.
I know, I love how you said before, because I love to talk. Me too. But yeah, I really think these are, important topics. And so, what I'm trying to do with the podcast is spread awareness on things, and then people can make their own choices, with regards to these topics as to whether they want to get some help and find out more about who they actually are.
Beautiful. Thanks
Thank
again.
you, Sky. Cheers. I want to finish today's episode by sharing something personal because I know from my own experience how powerful these core beliefs can be. For much of my life, I carried a negative core belief that I was unlovable. Now, on a rational level, I knew I was a good and decent person and that I should be lovable, but emotionally, I just didn't feel it. So even if I rationally believed it, I just didn't feel it in my being. I think a lot of that came from growing up without a father around, or who was interested in me as a child. And I internalized that absence as something about me or something wrong with me. I remember at one point, I was probably early 40s, and I even asked my mum if she felt that way, if she had that belief, because to be honest, I actually believe that most people had the same belief. In my mid 40s, I had counselling therapy, and the reason I went to counselling in the first place was because I was feeling discontented and uneasy just within myself, and I wanted help with a few issues. Now, I didn't seek the therapy to look at negative core beliefs, but in doing the work, you come to see that they are really powerful drivers underlying things like our thoughts, our defense mechanisms, and our behaviors. Now, you don't get to 40 carrying these negative core beliefs and then suddenly they disappear once you start counselling. That's not how it works. And like I said before, even if you know on a rational level that you, in my case, you are lovable, it takes a while for it to shift before you actually can really feel that within yourself. And it did take quite a while for me to feel a shift. But once you can address these negative core beliefs and really know on an emotional level that the negative beliefs are just not true, then things change for you. So for me, fast forward several years, and just 18 months ago, a month before I turned 50, I got married for the very first time in my life. So if you're listening and you've carried a painful belief about yourself for years, maybe for your whole life, please know that you're not alone. I wanted to share my own experience because I know how hurtful and how awful these negative core beliefs can be. They're so limiting in our lives. And I really just want to encourage people, if you're feeling like things aren't quite right within yourself or within your relationships, then consider seeking help, seeking some counselling, to have a talk with someone, a professional person. It can really make all the difference. I want to try and normalize all of the things that make us human and can contribute to poor mental health at times. I just wish for everyone to be their most content versions of themselves, because for a long time I really felt a real discontent within myself. And then once I was able to get past that, I mean, it's not like your life's ever, perfect. No one has a perfect life, but to have that inner gut feeling that you're quite content, I just wish for everyone to have as much internal peace and contentment as you can, because I feel like then that gives you a freedom to live your life on your own terms and values. So I hope by me sharing my personal experience just normalizes it for you all, and know that you're not alone, and it's never too late to get some help to overcome these things and to work through them. So I wish you all the best, and until next time, please take care, be kind to yourself, and mind your being.